And hello, I'd like to welcome everybody here to Facebook Live. I'm Kristen Eykel, and I'm so excited to share with you two of my favorite teachers on the planet. This is Renee and Anthony from Blue Soul Earth, and I've invited them here today because they do something that is so unique and so special. I don't think you've ever experienced anything like this before. And I know that me, this total spiritual junkie who's done like every workshop and every training on the planet, I've never experienced anything quite as sweet, quite as profound, and quite as heart-based as what Renee and Anthony do. So Renee and Anthony, I'm so happy to see you. Welcome. And I'd just like to ask you, okay, random question. How do two like normal people with normal lives go about channeling the divine?
I'll let you start that one.
How do we go about channeling the divine? That's a really good question. It does take a lot of practice. And it came to us about 5-6 years ago, I believe, and we started channeling together as divine feminine and divine masculine coming together to create this incredible spiritual awakening, not just for ourselves, but for others that are coming to us.
So I would imagine that that spiritual awakening has to also occur within you. I mean, here you are just like everyday average people. And then this sudden like lightning bolt from above like occurs within your heart. It must be a spiritual awakening for you that you're also transmitting with other people, yes?
Absolutely. And I think a big part of it is one word, surrender. That's a big part of the process, and it certainly has been for us until we fully surrender to spirit and fully surrender to the dimensions and the realms beyond our understanding. That's when really things started opening up for us and the magic started happening.
I think I think Renee, you're absolutely right. Surrender is one of the keys to really having a spiritual awakening. If you are not willing to surrender yourself completely, your entire being, then the process itself can occur.
I think surrender, what you just said, is really powerful. And I know that for a lot of people, the very concept of surrender itself is fear-inducing. It's terrifying. We like to have control. We like to know like where everything is going to be, when it's going to be. We don't like change. We resist it tooth and nail, even if the change is good for us. So I think the key to surrender is super powerful. So how would you invite people to really go within and trust whatever surrender is being asked upon in their life?
I think a great example could be a parallel with sports as one example. So a lot of times we learn in life that the opposite holds true to what our logical minds think. And great surfers know this, right? So the whole idea of fear, regardless of what sport it is, they know the power of once you completely surrender into something bigger than yourself, the magic happens, whether it's golf or surfing or whatever it is. And it's the same with spirituality. So it's the opposite of what we feel is going to happen. It actually happens. So I think as easy and trite as that sounds, I believe that is one example. You also want to talk about a yoga and meditation practice.
Yeah, within my yoga practice, I often will surrender myself for the betterment of whoever is there, who's ever in my auric field, to enjoy the yogic practice. Also, as a martial artist, when I had to get into the ring, I had to completely surrender myself to whatever was going to occur. I literally had to just flow with the energy. But what's most important is that when you do surrender, you have to have this idea of gratitude as well. Gratitude is truly the source energy or the love that comes through us all as we surrender ourselves. And this is what takes away the fear and the walls that we put up for ourselves that don't allow us to go on our spiritual paths.
I think that's beautifully said. I love how you guys just framed that. On one level, it's that sense of surrender to something greater, whether it's the wave or the long distance running, right? Like there's that sense of getting into the flow and of really trusting yourself that you are ready for whatever is appearing before you. And also what you're alluding to with the martial arts and the yoga, and as a 30-year yogi myself, I totally get this. There is an important sense of discipline that you're also alluding to. It's very easy in the spiritual work to get ungrounded and to start to waver all over the place and to fly all over the place like a balloon. And the more we can be deeply tethered into the earth, and then exactly what you're saying, surrender to the flow and open up, then that magic alchemy happens, right? And on some level, it reminds me of this sort of male-female energies that the two of you embody. There are a lot of really wonderful channels, healers, and teachers on the planet, but to have a very powerful union between the divine, the male and female, as represented by the two of you, is also rather unique. So the question I'd like to know is, as a team, as a working together team, look, we all know it's hard enough to live together, much less to live together and work together. So how does this working together as a team in terms of work, but also in terms of spiritual development and as a human relationship, how can we give hope for people that they can actually find that for themselves?
Oh, that's a really good question.
That's why I asked you, because I knew you'd know.
I think one of the most important parts of working together is that for us, we understand that there's a higher meaning to what we're doing, that it's not just about us, that it's really about everything. It's about source energy, service
to others, service to humanity.
Yes.
And I think sometimes, especially in the light of the COVID lockdown and everybody going within, a lot of couples had problems because they were in each other's hair all the time when they weren't normally used to doing that. So I feel that on one level, that surrender to the divine masculine, the surrender to the divine feminine, that we both have to practice. This is a practice. It's not something that comes easy. But once you kind of surrender into that flow and that energy, that bigger calling just surfaces up. That's the best way to describe it. It just kind of surfaces up and it's like, okay, this doesn't feel good right now, or he's agitating me or whatever. And then we go back to the higher purpose and think, okay, this is what we need to do. Let's just go get it done.
Another level of surrender. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I think a level of surrender. And we do understand each other, what our strengths and weaknesses are. And so we're able to flow into each other. When someone is feeling weak, the other comes and will uplift the other person. And we find that we work really well together. Yeah. And we do give each other our time and our space so that we can be alone and then come back together to work as divine masculine, divine feminine, flowing into each other again.
So you have that time apart, the time together, that really is that sense, like the energy of the caduceus, right? Coming in, exactly. Opening out, coming back in. So you replenish, you re-nourish each other, and then you replenish your individual selves. I think that's a really beautiful, important thing. One more thing I'd really like to know too is that, in terms of this time when all of us are kind of being asked to really go within and to be home. I've spoken a lot about this myself, of how we're being given this time. This time is happening for us, not happening to us. And I think it's really important for us to remember that everything that's happening on the macro scale and on the personal scale is an opportunity for us to grow and evolve, and not to be smacked down, not to feel like this is happening to me as if I'm a victim, but really as a co-creator with what's going on in the world right now. So as all of us are on some level being asked to go within and to kind of find our own connection to the divine, our own surrender to the divine, I would really like to invite you to speak into this, because I think it's so important. The power of community that we get to create now in a new way that was not perhaps available before, because before it was easy, like, oh, we just sort of show up and we're spending time together. But now we have to cultivate community in a brand new way. And then that community itself starts to expand a brand new energy that I know you guys are adept at feeling as well. So can you just speak to us for a moment about the idea of the individual coming into a greater collective and how that's going to serve all of us moving forward?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I love about this as a former publicist is I've always believed in community and seen the power of it, and have always worked online. So, that was not something that was new for us, but certainly teaching and doing spiritual work online was different. We were used to this physical touch. We were used to hugging people, embracing people. And I think for all of us, pre-COVID, we all had our small communities that we connected to in a physical way. And so what this inward time, I think, has done for all of us in a really beautiful and rich way we said, okay, we've got to still connect because we're human beings and we love to connect. So we are all being forced online. And I think the question is being cognizant and aware of what you resonate with. So there's tons of communities that are out there, but suddenly, at least with our teaching and work, we get to plug into a community that is very global. So before, it was a very regional community, which is great, and it has its own like precious things, but suddenly our communities are more diverse, right? We have people dialing in from Europe and Japan and Africa, and how amazing is that? And I think the essence of that is that learning the diversity of all of these people coming together who share a similar resonance. So I think it's this opening and an awakening that, these group of people in Eastern Europe and Africa and Australia share the same resonance with us. So what that forces us to do is see each other as the same in these global communities. And that's exactly what's needed right now to break down all of the tensions that are rising around racism and women and everything. It's all coming up to say, you know what? We are all interconnected. We are all one. There is no difference. And this is a perfect opportunity for us to come together as a global community and actually see it for what it is.
And I think there's one most important thing that I'd like to say also, as our guides, spirit guides always tell us, that there is no space and time between you because you are the space and time. In effect, what they're saying that no matter where you are, in whatever part of the world you may be in, we're all connected spiritually and globally and in a cosmic way as well. And we can touch each other through whatever means we want, whether it is physical or whether it's through using our computer networks, because we're always connected.
And that's one of the reasons, as we're all Reiki practitioners, and I'm sure many tuning in right now do their own kind of health practitioner practice or wish to, right? Or have an inclination that they can or have that ability, that we can do remote healing. The notion that we are space and time, we're not separate from it. This is why this remote healing can actually happen. And it's super powerful.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree with you more. I have also found that in my practice as well. I have this yummy community that's my local community that I get tears in my eyes. I'm so grateful for who these people are in the world. And then also to see that, that's been my lifelong dream too, to see really this kind of hands around the universe, like literally this embrace of the whole planet, of people in their local communities where they may feel that they're the singular practitioner and no one in their family understands them. They're starting to awaken for the first time and having some really crazy stuff happen that they cannot articulate, that doesn't fit into the box of who they used to be. And they really need to reach out and find, communities like what we are tapping into and sharing. And as well, really learning how to take these skills to the next level, how to go within, how to reconcile the past, whether that's with past life meditations, whether that's through these alternate timeline journeys where we get to go to places like Egypt or Greece or ancient Britannia, where we get to really find those touch points of where we maybe have energy that's still echoing to us. I mean, how do we even quantify that in our normal day-to-day conversation? We don't have language for that in the linearity of time. And yet we're all affected by that. We have precognizant dreams. We start to have sensations. Some people start to see auras. Some people start to hear voices talking to them, like in the shower, like, hello, I am now with you. Like that could be freaky for people. But I think that as, really beautiful teachers like yourself and the practice that I endeavor to share as well, we get to help make this normal and not weird and not strange, but really cultivating that this is normal and that your experience may be taking you outside of your comfort zone, but we are here as a global community and we are here to really embrace you.
And to help, I think that's the thing with the community, is creating this sacred space, whether it's on or offline, to say, what, okay, your body's shaking. Maybe you're going through a Kundalini awakening, but you happen to be in a small town in Kansas or the Czech Republic, and you don't have a lot of people who can either support you or embrace what's going on with you. So I think this idea of us all coming together online as a global community, you know, allows people to say, oh my God, they're going through that too. I'm not crazy. You know, this is part of the process, and there's people like me everywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, there's people like us everywhere, and different little pieces of us get reflected in different pieces of others. And I think that's a beautiful takeaway. So I just want to thank you for your time. I really want to thank you for your expertise. And I really also, as a student of this practice as well for so long, thank you for continuing to be students as well as teachers. Thank you for continuing to offer so much to so many. I know that that really is the greatest gift of service that any of us get to share, is that sort of continuity and that give back to the all. I also want to thank you, our viewer, for checking in, for taking this moment to watch us. Please share this video if you have others who might need a little support in their own waking up practice, who may need some practitioners who are there to help catch them, to help redefine that idea of like, I'm changing, into something that's actually quite beautiful. You can follow Renee and Anthony on Blue Soul Earth, find them at their website. Of course, you can follow me and ask any of us any questions at any time. Check the link below, or just, you know, send out a shout out. Let us know if in any way we can be of service to you. I want to thank each and every one of you who are being present in this time, in this space, and in all time and all space. Thank all of your teams, your guides, the mentors, masters, loved ones who support you in all time and space. Thank you very much. It is finished in beauty, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much.